starting off. Hello, everyone. Kagglers, soon to be Kagglers, just everybody. Let me take a little sip of coffee. Get started on the right foot. Today, we are going to be talking about how to make your data science code look more professional. And when I say professional code, I think the single most important thing is that it's reusable, right? Because if you're just working on a project by yourself and you don't have any colleagues working with you, then you can kind of do whatever you want. It doesn't matter that much. But if you're working in an organization with other people and other people are seeing your code, or let's say you have some code and you're making some predictions and you show it to like the VP, and the VP is like, oh great, what happens if you do blah blah, and you have to go back and change it, or maybe they want to change your code themselves to see what would happen. If your code is spaghetti, if it's a big mess, spaghetti code is just code that's kind of a mess, it's going to be pretty hard for them to do that. And I say this as somebody who's written a lot of spaghetti code. I am a spaghetti chef of code specifically. And hello to everyone who is joining. Bad echo. Is anybody else hearing an echo? Let me see. Does that help maybe? Possibly? Yeah, let me know if you're still... Yeah? Okay, there. I think that should work. I think I had actually forgotten to turn off one of the mics. How's that? Does that sound better? It's sounding pretty good to me in the monitor when I was checking earlier. All right. Hopefully the echo is fixed. Moving on. So there are 6 things that I think you can use to no echo. Interesting. Maybe you have it on 2 devices. This room is a little bit echoey, but it shouldn't be awful. So there are 6 things that I like to go through when I am writing code for reuse. The first is modular. So there's a set of principles in software engineering where every little chunk of code should do one thing. And if you're working more object-oriented, it could be that you have like classes and different methods for the classes, and each class like holds a type of object or describes a type of object that does one sort of thing. I tend to prefer functional programming for a more functional programming style, not necessarily purely functional for data science, because I think it makes sense because we sort of have a functional programming is where you have your units or functions, and you put something into the function, you get something out of the function, rather than having a function that, say, when you call it, changes some sort of global variable. So that's sort of the difference there. Correct. So it should do what you say it does, which is one of the harder things to check. So code review can be really good for that. And I'm just skimming over these because I'm going to do them. I'm going to apply them to a project and some code I wrote and show you what the working process looks like for me. Readable, people should be able to sort of skim your code and kind of understand what's going on. So your variable name should be, as much like natural language as possible. You should have lots of comments describing why you're doing things, and sometimes what you're doing. You should follow a style guide. Whatever style guide your organization is using. If you're not in an organization, you can sort of like pick your favorite. Versatile. So I don't think it's necessarily worthwhile to spend a lot of time making your code super pretty looking if you're only ever going to use it once, or like it's a super narrow use case. If you are going to spend a lot of time making your code look good, you might as well also make it more versatile, right? So be able to use in a wider variety of situations. And then creative. And by creative, I just mean there's not already a package that does what you're writing code to do. You can just use that package as long as it's under a license that lets you use it. So those are sort of the principles. There's a big old notebook here. Y'all are welcome to work through it. But I'm going to walk through applying these principles to some of my own code. And hello, everybody who's saying there's no echo. Fantastic. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. So if you watch the live coding we do on Friday, you might have seen me working on some of this. So this is a project I'm working on as part of my work to summarize the Kaggle forums, because right now I read the forums with my eyeballs, and that's not super sustainable long term. But what I have right now is I have a single notebook inside the notebook I've got a bunch of functions that I've written, and then I have some pre-processing that I'm doing, and then I have some additional other processing, and you can see there's a bug here that I haven't fixed, and it's like this code is, I think, okay. It works. I think it does what it says it does. We'll double check that a little bit as we go on. And then eventually we get down, and the idea is that we get clusters that describe, excuse me, we get clusters that describe what's happening and what people are talking about on the Kaggle forums. That's the idea of the project. But today, what I want to do is I want to take this pre-processing script, scroll. All of this pre-processing that I'm doing procedurally, so just sort of one line at a time, break this out and make it, a little bit more professional, add some additional documentation, make it a little bit more modular, and then create a script that I can use in multiple places where I need to do the same pre-processing. So that's what we're doing today. And to start, I'm actually going to fork this kernel. So I'm going to copy and edit, and this will make a copy that I can work on, and it won't affect this version. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove everything else from my notebook. I'm going to make sure it still works. And then when I'm done, I'm going to convert my notebook to a script, and then I'm going to make the script a utility script, and then I can import that into other notebooks. And basically what that means is, so in my original notebook, I had, you could see a bunch of functions at the top. I could only use those functions in the notebook where I've defined them, because they're custom functions that I wrote. Then if I want to use them somewhere else, I have to either copy or paste them, or I can take the functions that I want to use, put them in a utility script, and then import the utility script. So you can see I actually have some utility scripts here that I wrote earlier. And if you open them up, you can see that it's a script file that this one has one function in it that says polite post index. So I can import this into other kernels using file add utility script, which is grayed out right now because the kernel's still starting. And then I can import, just like I import NumPy or pandas or flash text or string, I can import all of the functions that I have here. I only happen to have one function, and then call on those functions in my new notebook, if that makes sense. So that's the idea of the modular part and utility scripts and making them up into different things. So that's what we're going to do today to show you how the whole shebang works. All right, so the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of everything that comes after the pre-processing posts. So I'm going to get rid of this and this and this, and I'm just going to delete a bunch of stuff. Also, I've had some questions about this. If you want to undelete something, instead of doing Control-Z, you can do Escape-Z. So I'm doing Escape-Z to undelete all those posts I just deleted. Cells I just deleted, but I'm going to re-delete them now. Okay, so this is all the code that I want to make sure works. I've got a bunch of stuff that I'm not going to need to use just in the pre-processing scripts. You can see here I've got a lot of imports. I'm probably not going to actually use all of these. And I'm actually not going to futz with going through and double checking by hand which one of these I actually use, because later on I'm going to use a linter, which is a program that goes through and checks for common errors, and also that your code does follow a style guide, and it will automatically tell me what I don't use, and it'll also tell me if my things are in the wrong order, because generally you want to do things that you're importing from base Python before, packages that are from somewhere else and you've installed locally, etc. So I'm not going to mess with that. We'll get it automatically later on. Okay. Some other things. So let's run this. We've got all of our information. So we have a bunch of functions that I've already defined here, some utility functions. I'm going to break these out into another library later on. I think it's a little bit out of scope for today, and I've already, made them function. So And the reason that I'm going to keep these right here is because I don't know right now which of these are I'm actually calling in my little processing bit here. So I'm just going to keep those for now. And I do believe that this has an error. So rather than fixing the error right now, I'm just going to get a version where it all works and then chuck that guy for now. And also get rid of that in my imports because that requires installing and that takes a while. And this is just things I know because I wrote the code and had, some problems with it. Not some problems, but some areas for improvement that I happen to know about because this is my code. All right, and I want to run all the cells below this one because I already ran the first one, so run all of these. So let's spend some time figuring out what this code does and then how we can break it down into functions. People are saying, "Oh, thanks for Escape C." Excellent. I'm happy I could teach you guys that because that took me a really long time to figure out, and I had to rewrite a lot of cells before I figured it out. All right. So I want to write a variety of functions. So I want to write a series of functions where each function does one thing, right? That's the really important thing. And then I want my name of the function to tell me what the function does. So an example here, we have a function get surprising words that I know we're not going to use because I use that much later down in the kernel, the original kernel. And this gets the surprising words from a cluster object that we've trained previously. We have another one here, polite post index. So this is a little bit, I could maybe improve this name a little bit. This actually returns the indices in the data frame of posts that are just like, thanks, no problem, good work, well done, nice job, which are very interesting. They're good to see, but they're not necessarily things that I want in my clustering. So this is just a little custom data cleaning that I'm doing based on my specific needs. This one removes thanks, so when people are just saying, thanks, nice work, good job, that sort of thing, this removes those words. And so you can see I have a number of functions in here that I've already written. All right, so the first thing that I do is I'm reading in some data and then I'm joining data from different columns. So I have, you can see here, two forums, two CSVs, forum topics, and then forums. And the reason that I'm reading in both of these is because this is the one that has the name of what each forum is, and here, instead of having the name, it's a number that refers to the index in this particular table. The meta Kaggle dataset, if you're not familiar with it, it's the public information that's in the Kaggle database. So it's a set of CSVs that are a scrape of a relational database. So if you were here for the SQL summer camp, all of those words meant something to you. If you weren't and haven't used SQL before, you're probably just like, But basically, I have the information that I need scattered across several tables, and I want a way to make sure that I can consolidate them. So here I am reading in the I'm reading in two CSVs. Each of them I am renaming based on these specific names. And then I am merging these tables. So I'm taking let me break this into a couple rows so it's a little bit easier to follow what I'm doing. So I'm taking some of the columns from the forum posts. Okay, so I'm also reading in the forum posts, which I think I do up here, actually. So I'm going to bring this down here for now. And the reason I want all these things together is because I probably want to do a function where I can paste in or pass in just the path to the files that I want, and then it'll go through and automatically combine them into a single file. So we have the topics, the forums, and the forum posts. So we have three different tables that we're trying to combine. We're creating this DataFrame 1, which is, it looks like it's an intermediate stage that I am getting some information from the topics in, and then I'm removing redundant information. And then I'm merging this intermediate data frame with the information on the forums. Okay, so I'm doing a join between this guy and this guy, and then later I'm doing a join between this one and those two that I've already joined. Let me just make this a little bit more consistent between these two lines. And I'm also going to break these lines apart as well, just so it's a little bit easier to see. And then let's zoom in a little bit. And then I have, I'm removing some columns, and then I finally have out my final forum posts, and this is what that looks like. I have the post date, I have the message, I have the topic title, and I have the forum title. So, everything in this cell is taking in 3 data frames and returning a single data frame that has information from all 3 of those, right? If I wasn't doing this on Kaggle, I'd probably have done this as a SQL script, but we're doing this in Python, so we're gonna make this a Python script instead. All right. What options exist after an economics degree? You'd have to ask an economist. I will say some of the Kaggle folks do have economics degrees. Like Dan Becker, who does a lot of the Learn courses. I'm pretty sure his degree is in economics. Okay, so I want a single function that does this, I think. Or do I want 2 functions? One that makes this intermediate data frame and another one that makes the secondary data frame. I think in order to keep our code very modular, I want to do the smallest thing possible. So I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to rename this to posts and topics. Topics DF, and then I'm going to rename that everywhere just so it's a little bit clearer what's actually in this data frame. Yeah, so I'm going to combine the first 2 in the first one, in the first function, and then I'm going to have a second function where I combine the second 2. So let's create a function here. So we're going to define the function name. So let's call this combine posts and topics. And then we're going to pass in the forum posts df. So that's this object that I'm reading in here. It's a data frame of forum posts. So I'm going to call that df just so I know that it's a data frame. And then I want to go through and make sure that I update it everywhere else in the function. And the second thing that I'm taking in here is topics. So I'm going to call this forum topics df, and then I'm going to replace topics in here. So we have a function that takes in 2 data frames and combines them. And right now it'll just combine them and not tell me about it and not return it back. And because I want to have a more functional approach, what I will do is I'll use a return statement to actually return the data frame that I've made here, which is called posts and topics df. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. All right. And I'm quickly going to split these cells so I can run just this one without having to reload these guys in all the time. And I believe it is Alt-Shift minus, nope, Control-Shift minus, Control-Shift minus to split cells with the cursor. All right, so what I should be able to do now is create an object post and topics df using my function that I've just defined, combine posts and topics, and then passing it in the forum topics, the forum posts data frame, which we've called forum posts up here. And we could even specify that what we are using is the forum posts df, there we go, is called forum posts, and then the forum topics df, and I'm hitting tab here to complete all of the, to show me all the possible completions that Python knows about here. So it knows that one of the arguments for this function is forum topics df, and we called that topics. Okay, so I'm taking this code that I was running procedurally, and instead of just running each of the lines, I've created a function that does the same thing, and then I've replaced that part of my code with the function. So let's see if it works. It did not work. There was an error. All right, what happened? Forum topic ID not in index. Have I not run this cell? Maybe I need to run this cell first. Invalid syntax. All right, maybe we can't do rename on a new line. Or maybe it's supposed to be a slash the other way. That's also definitely a possibility. All right, so we're reading in our information. All right, and this time it worked. So it must have been something to do with the renaming, or maybe I changed the name and didn't remember changing the name. But we do get the same thing out that we did before. David says you have forum posts equals read CSV and forum posts equals PD merge. Won't the latter overwrite the former? David's talking about here where I have forum posts and the various information, and that is a good point. I think it will, but apparently at some point in the past I thought that was a good idea, and maybe I was wrong. So let's see. Forum post date, start time. Okay, so I do look like I rely on having something called forum posts later on. So in order to make things a little bit more posts and topics, df, forum posts, forum posts, forum posts, forum posts. Okay, so it looks like I am overwriting the object. I'm trying to decide if I want to refactor this now. Yeah, might as well. So instead of forum posts, let's call this forum posts df. Forum posts df. All right. Okay, so now I don't believe it should be overwriting itself. Let's see. And this will probably cause me trouble later on because I should have changed it in all the places, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. All right, and that works. Excellent. So we have one function that we've written, combining posts and topics, and then we need to create another function, and let's call that, what are we doing? We're taking in the posts and the topics, and then we're combining it with the information from the forum posts. So what's a good name for this? Combining David said, is this part of the spectral clustering series? Yeah, it's the same thing. It's the same thing. So naming things is hard, but I do want to come up with a good name for this that tells us what we're doing. Actually, instead of combining, I think I'm going to say joining because we are doing a join. And combine could be any sort of operation. It doesn't necessarily have to be a join. So join post and topic there, and then we're going to say join. posts and topics with, it's a little long-winded, join posts and topics with the information is forum title. And then the things that we need to pass in is a posts and topics data frame, and then also a forum info data frame. Let's call it that because it's not the forum post, it's the information about the forums. Forum info data frame. And then we're doing all of this inside the function. And printing out the head is just sort of something that I'm doing for myself to make sure that it worked good. It does not need to go in the function. Because if we put that in the function, every time we ran the function, we'd get the head of the resulting data frame out, which could be annoying, especially if you are working from the command line. All right, so form info data frame. Let's put this on a new line again so that it's parallel with that guy. So we're taking everything from the posts and topics data frame, and then we're adding information from the forum info, and then we are removing information that's redundant about the ID. And then we want to, again, we want to return the data frame. So we're going to return forum posts. All right. And now we should be able to do, I'm just going to say join posts with forum title. I think that's a little bit more succinct. So let's do join, what do we call this? Forum post is what we call the output, so we'll do that. And we're going to join posts with forum title, and we're going to have the posts and topics df be posts and topics df. I'm using tab complete here to finish my lines. And then for the forum info df, it's going to be forum posts df, I think is what I called this. Is this right? Am I confusing myself with my names? Forum info df. All right, that one's forum posts. And previously it was no one's, I was checking the chat to see if anyone's mentioned it. Golong says, where were you when I was learning everything by myself 4 years ago? Also learning everything by myself 4 years ago. High five. Yeah. When I started as a data scientist at Kaggle, I'd had some like formal training in how to code good, but not enough. Who can ever have enough, right? Okay, so form info df. Here we're using the forms. I'm pretty sure it's forum posts df is what we are using here. Let's try it and see if we get. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do. Let's try and see if we get an error. So we should have 4 columns out: post date, message, topic title, and forum title. Let's see if that happened. Nope. No. Okay, so we did make an error somewhere. Forum title not in index, raise key error. And we just reran this, so it must have been something that we did incorrectly. So we're joining the posts and topics, forum posts. So it must be forums. So let's call this forums. Oops. First, let's turn off insert info df. Let's call this forums info df because I think that is actually what we want to do it with. And I'm confusing myself with ambiguous names. Name forum info df not defined. Yes, I see how that could be because I have not rerun that cell. And now I should be able to do so. Post date, message, topic title, forum title, same output. Excellent. Okay, see, this is why it's important to have non-ambiguous names. And let's also call this forum topics df. And update everywhere where we reference topics, because that makes it clearer what's in each data frame. And I realized that we're probably not going to add the reading the data in part to the script cell that we're using, but I probably am going to, how was I going to finish that sentence? I probably am going to want to eventually read in the data using these same names, just so it's a little bit more parallel across and it's a little bit easier for somebody else to follow what's going on. Topics, and I think that's the only place that I changed it. So now we should be able to get this going. Doop, 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 doop. Nope, 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 nope. All right, so we should have a cell, form topics df not defined. Yes, again, you do have to run the cell where you change the name and read everything in. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, so we've got this working pretty good. And I think what I want to do at this point is I want to change the name of this into get join forum post info is what I'm going to call this. And you'll notice it's all lowercase. That's because I'm going to turn this into a script. And I think for now, I'm going to get rid of the rest of my my pre-processing and do that in a separate script. That way I can run the pre-processing without having to rely on having specific, specific input formats. So we've done the first step. We've made it modular. And that does tend to take a while, as you can see. And hopefully the next bits will be a little bit quicker. Some of them are a little bit more conceptual, and you don't actually have to work on them. You just have to think, does this work for me? So going through the bottom, is this creative? Yes, I think this is solving a problem that already hasn't been solved because I want to very quickly read in Kaggle form information and then combine it in a specific way, and I do that a lot. So I think the versatility is fairly high. Also, a lot of people are going to want to join information across these tables, hopefully, because I think a lot of people are interested in what happens in the Kaggle forums. So even though it is sort of something that's only going to work for one data set, I think it's worth spending a little bit of time to use it. And also, I'm going to be running this script probably daily, so I do want it to be easy to fix and easy to find where the errors are. So, well, that's nonsense. I think it works there. Readable we'll handle in a sec. Correct, stylish we'll handle in a sec. Correct. So I do want to make sure that this does what I say it does. And I also do want to be able to handle if there's a change in the underlying data set, because the Kaggle data set is actually updated every day and the previous versions are deleted for data privacy reasons. So I want to be able to handle if there is some change in what's in the data set. And so the way that I can do that, first of all, I think we can actually get rid of most of this. We don't need the hyperparameters. I don't think we need any utility functions. Let's just get rid of you. We're not using the frequency table or the vectors. Let's get rid of all y'all. And I'm just really quickly going to restart my session and then try rerunning it from the top just to make sure it still does what I think it does. And then we're going to get a little bit into data validation. So in this script, I believe it's actually under versatile rather than correct, but I mean, it's also correct. I'm going to include some data validation. So I'm going to check that the data that I'm getting in follows the qualities that I'm assuming that it has in my my code here. So you see, I'm assuming that this forum post df data frame has columns called forum topic ID, post date, and message. I've already helped to deal with changes a little bit because I'm not referring to these by numeric index. So if somebody adds an additional column or changes the order of the columns, I'm good, I'm covered there. But if there isn't a column with this title, then I do want to know about it so I can change my pipeline accordingly. So we're gonna do a little bit of validation. All right, in here we have the CSV Validator package that I do need to import, so I'm going to do that, get that going. And I can get rid of this this line where I'm loading in the data because I'm doing it further down. And it's just sort of like, oops, I don't actually want a Markdown cell. And I'm just organizing it so that I have like with like. So I like all my imports at the top, and most style guides recommend that. And I like all my data loading in together and sort of looking similar. And then I have all of my functions together, and then the code that actually runs the functions down here. And when I turn it into a script, I'm probably going to get rid of the code that actually runs the functions. Or I'll just sort of put it in comments or a doc string so that people can see an example of what it would look like. All right, so we've successfully installed CSV Validator 1.2, and this is a package that's going to go through and check that I actually have what I think I have. So some things that we can do from CSV Validator import star, and I probably actually won't validate all of my CSVs here. So I do need to import the library after I've installed it, which is why I have the install first and then the imports. Because if you try to import it before you install it, your kernel's going to go look for it and be like, it doesn't exist. What are you talking about? All right, so I want to import everything, and then I want to specify the specific field names that I'm looking for. So these are going to be the columns that my CSV needs to have, and that's really all that I'm looking for. I don't care a whole bunch if they are, you know, key integers or date times or units or any of that. And then I should be able to use this this validator method class, I think, and then use this validate method to test my CSV and make sure it has what I think it should have. All right, so, and again, I'm just copying and pasting. So the field names that I want from the form posts DF are specifically form topic ID. I need post date. I need message. I need, and I think those are the only ones that I need specifically for the forum posts DF. So I'm going to call this specifically forum posts DF. I don't actually need the DF because it's not a data frame, it's a validator. So I'm going to call this object forum posts validator, and I'm going to call this forum posts field name. So I know that I'm looking for all of these. Boop-a-da-boop, boop-a-da-boop. And then I should be able to, actually I'm just gonna, Control Alt, nope, Control Shift C. I want to make sure I've actually imported it since I've installed it, but I don't think I actually ran the code that imported it yet. Okay, so I've done that, I've imported it, and now I should be able to do forum posts validator.validate, and then add in the specific data frame that I want to validate, which is forum posts df. Name forum posts df is not defined. Yes, I see how that could be. So let's run the cells that import the libraries that we need. That would probably help. And then get the data that we need, again, would probably help. And then, there we go. So you can see that we get this blank thing out. There's no problems. Everything's fine. So I am actually going to put this into a... Do I want to put this into a function, or do I want to create a separate function for each of the 3 data frames that I want to validate? I think for this example, I'm just going to create one function that just validates one data frame, and then later on I'll go back and do all of them, just because I don't want to be here for you know, a super long time. And once you've seen me do it once, you've got the general idea. So I'm going to call this def validate forum posts, and it doesn't have any arguments. And if I were going to turn, if I were going to create one sort of general function, I would, instead of validating the forum post, say validate something like column names, and then pass in the data frame and the specific column names as. I should do that, huh? All right, fine. All right, fine, I'll do that. Fine. I'm trying to model good behavior. Validate input CSVs, and then we want the data frame input data frame, and then we want the column names. All right. So I'm just gonna boop this out so that we have it for later when we need it. Post date message. There we go. Excellent. All right. So forum post field names. I don't think we actually need to create a new object for that. I think we can just say, look for the column names here, and instead of forum posts df, it is input df, and then is an empty set equal to false in Python? So I'm trying to get away where I get a Boolean value out of this. So Rando says, how is this function reusable? It just solves a specific problem, right? I've made it reusable. And if it solves a specific problem that you need to solve a lot, I think it still makes sense to do it. So, yeah, oh, sorry, that's what Alan said. So yes, exactly that. And Servando says, for one specific data set, if one variable change, it doesn't work anymore. And I am, again, if I were not working in Python, I'd do this as a SQL script. And it does depend on the name of the columns because I'm joining data in a specific way. Because that's just where the data is. I can't refactor the Kaggle database. I mean, I could, but I'm thinking about how many meetings that would entail, and I'm not interested. It'll be a lot of meetings. All right, and I think that's very much like, that's common, right? In data science, you don't always have complete control over the data set. All right, so we have this function, validate input CSV. Does the empty set equal the empty set? It does, okay. If forum posts validator equals the empty set, return check column names, return true, else return forum post validator, because so the validator itself will give you information out on the specific things that are different that you're not looking for. So, all right, now we should be able to give this a little trial run. Oh, right, Nicole. There we go. So now we should be able to give this a little trial run. So we should be able to check column names and then input df equals forum post df, and then column names equals these dudes. I don't know why they're dudes. These values. All right, so we're getting out CSV Validator, which means it didn't work, right? Forum posts df. Forum posts df. Head, nope. forum posts df dot head. And as you can see, this takes a little bit. This is why it's only really worth doing if you have like a reason to do it. So we have forum topic ID, yes. We have post date, yes. And we have message, yes. So we should get true back. And instead, if it's empty, return true. Do I need parentheses? Interesting. I'm getting the validator back and then not the Robbie says, talk slowly, Rachel. Are you a rapper or something? I'm not a rapper. I do know I talk a little bit quickly. But you should be able to change the speed of the YouTube video, so hopefully that'll help. Oh, and None says, you can change the speed. Dot validate is returning empty, right? But I'm checking that it's the same. I'm gonna do the oldie printing out the printing out the intermediate state to see what it is. Oh, I see. It's an object and it's not. Oh, I'm returning the validator and not the validation. Also, I shouldn't say forum posts. I should say something like posts validator. Change this, change that, and then posts validation. This is a noun. This is also a noun. I don't know why I said it like that. So now we should be able to get the validation results out. Yeah, excellent. So we can take out this print statement. So we get true if we have the columns that we're looking for, and if we don't, so let's make this so that it's not, oh, we still get true. Not a good name. All right, we still get true, so that's not great. Something is wrong. All right, print posts validation. Okay, it's empty. All right. Column names, yes. Column names, input df. Post validator, post validate. Validate the data frame, print it out. Just Winter says maybe print the type of validator. I think it's being returned not empty. Yeah, I think we figured out that it's we're returning the class and not the output of the validator. M says, do you need to check if forum post.validator.validate equals empty set? Maybe. What if we are only looking for things that don't exist? That also works. Well, that's not so great, huh? CSV Validator, why have you abandoned me? Oh. Okay. I think. Yeah. Okay, so I think the thing is that it's not actually checking for that. So let's just add a check that looks for it. Post validator is what we call this. Add check. And what do we need from the add value check? Tab, help me. That wasn't helpful. Let's see. CSV validator add value check, I think is what it was called. Close enough. Nope. add value. Nope. Add value. Check. All right. All right. Listen, spelling is hard. CSV Validator. Add value check. Yeah. Yeah. CSV lint. CSV Validator. There we go. Add a value check. So what I'm specifically looking for is the arguments here, and it looks like ain't none. All right. So let's just look for column name 0. Will this work? I don't think it's going to work. Type error. Add value check missing one positional requirement value check. So I need to say what type it is. Now this is more complicated. Let's let's say string, because that's always going to be the most. Is string the most general? Value check must be a callable function. Okay. All right. Okay, but now we're only checking for the first column. Yeah. DNP3 says, is this live? It is. So the reason that I'm getting, I'm not getting errors out because I haven't added checks, and I would need to add a check for every column and include the data type that I want the column to be, which seems a little bit less general because I'm just looking for the existence of columns, because it doesn't matter what's in the columns because I'm just joining them. So all right, add value check. So we need a self, a field name, and a value check. Exists? Not is NA? Not NA Python. All right, so we should be able to say something like, what was that? Not NA, I think. Not NA. Name error. Not NA, not defined. All right. Do I have to say pd.dataframe.notNA? Does that work? Did you mean pandas.dataframe? It does need to be a capital F. Must be an instance or subtype of type, row 2, column 4. Okay, so now we're getting an error message out. And it's a doozy. That is a large error message. Okay. Sir.not.na true, false boolean. Interesting. Kushigara says, can't we give object as type? Yeah, maybe. I'm just trying to find like the single, is null maybe? So we need to give a callable function that just like, and I just want one that checks if it exists, and then we can loop through the column names and add each of those to our validator. This add value check thing, by the way, is not functional because it's changing this validator object whenever we call the function. Just as an example of something that's not functional. All right. We can do this. Python check if exists, right? Check if variable exists. Yeah? In local, in globals. I don't think it would be because it would be in the data frame itself. Oh, someone says, is not none. I don't think that's a single callable expression, so that's probably not going to work, unfortunately. We could see if it's in there. Let's see, object? Let's see if object works, maybe? is the option. So object is the most general type of pandas object there is. Pandas column type there is. Let's see. Pandas check if object. DataFrame column exists. Arbitrary is not a number. Check if it creates some value. See if it's empty. Data series in strings. Live coding. Where's the memory leak here? That's a great question. My memory leak is in my coffee cup. All right. Oh, Rebecca S says add header check. Interesting. All right, let's check that out. So the CSV Validator add header check. What does that do? Not helpful. Documentation, please. Code problem message. Add a header check, i.e. check whether the header record is consistent with the expected field names. I think Rebecca has saved us. All right. Hey, header check failed. Fantastic. Okay, we can get rid of this print statement. Thank you, Rebecca. You're my hero. All right. Using the column names, add header check, and then we actually validate, and then we return true if it's true, and then false if it's not. So now let's make sure that it works in the opposite case. Got to make sure our tests work good. Otherwise, disaster. All right. Header check failed. Missing form topic ID, message, post date. Right, so I need at least two. So that's something that I can go back and check later. Message. Header check failed. Row 1, missing form topic ID and message. Form posts df. Form post cf.head. Form topic ID. Form topic ID. Post date. Post date. All right, so maybe there's an option that we can add here that says, hey, please still work if not all of the columns in the input data frame are accounted for in the values. Question mark. Arguments, code, problem code to report if header record is not valued, defaults to header check failed, message, problem message to report, add a header check, self code message. Is consistent with the expected field names. Interesting. So, yeah, this might be a little bit... Form topic title. This might be a little bit of extra work to get working. But once we have it working, it should work well. How's that for some weasel words that just are super good words that I said? So I really want to... We'll set this aside for now and come back to it a little bit later because I want to show you guys how to make this utility script and then check it. And for now, it's probably not going to work, and that's fine, I guess. So I'm going to change the cell where we read in the forum posts into Markdown so that we don't actually read them in when we read the the whole thing. And then I'm going to also shift control thing, and then I'm going to also make this into a markdown cell. And then I'm going to make this whole cell, this whole kernel into a script. So changing them into a markdown cell just means that they won't actually be run when we run the script. Code, form post, df head, code. Okay, we can get rid of these cells where we were just sort of messing around and trying stuff out. Form posts. Okay, so it looks like that's been duplicated a little bit, and let's just get rid of this. So now we have a just a script that has all of our imports, many of which we don't need, and we'll find out about in a second. And then this CSV Validator function that needs some work. I'll work on it. And then these two functions that join our post topics. And we could do more here. We could add some doc strings that describe what these functions do. So join info from the forum topics and forum messages. Tables in meta Kaggle, and then we could add a doc string here that says join info from join posts and topics. Output is one word, and the final one, which is called forums, and meta Kaggle forums table. All right, so just a little bit of information on what they do, and then I'll add a doc string here that says header check doesn't work, don't use. And then I'm gonna give myself a to-do so I remember to come back to it, fix. So as you can see, extremely professional. All right, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to, nope, that's not what I wanted to do, go away. I'm going to make this into a utility script. First I'm gonna commit it. I'm gonna have it run without errors. And then I'm gonna make it into a utility script, and then I am going to, invalid syntax. Noted. I think I can just do pip install CSV Validator, actually. Nope, failed. Pip install is not working. So you know what? We're just gonna comment these guys out because the function doesn't work anyway and come back to it later. Iteration, slowly improving every time. And now it should commit without errors. Yeah, excellent. And now I should be able to make it a utility script. Excellent. And I am going to make this public for you guys so you can check it out. And I'm also going to get rid of this guy because I don't need it. And then this guy because I don't need it. And also these guys because I'm not using them. I don't know why they're guys. They're objects that I don't need in my memory just at the moment. Get rid of you, get rid of you. Excellent. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new notebook. And I'm going to use a linter to check my file and see some of the problems that I have in it, and I imagine there will be a couple. So new kernel, I do want a notebook. Let's create it. It's in Python because the file that I'm checking is on Python. And I don't actually want to add a data source. I want to add a utility script. So add a utility script. My work recently run. Nope, 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 nope. So let me quickly check my committed version and make sure that it is a utility script. So I should see the tag utility script. Oh, I don't. All right. Did I fail to actually click the button? I did fail to actually click the button. How's my button clicking doing? All right, let's just add the tag manually. Utility script. Nope, can't add it manually. Have to do it from in here. Why can't I click button good? Okay. Maybe because I've made changes in the interim? Yeah. Sven says, is spectacles necessary to do better programming? I mean, yes, for me, because otherwise I can't see good. It is important that I can see good in order to do my work. But you don't need it. All right. So, okay. Maybe if I zoom out, it'll work mysteriously. Huh? Oh, I keep clicking it and then unclicking it. I think that's the error. I think that's why I'm running into problems. All right, so let's try adding a utility script. There we go, and there it is. So it is a toggle, and if you keep clicking the toggle and you do it an odd number of times, it won't work. So there's your important lesson for today from me, Rachel. Excellent. So now we should be able to import join forum post info, all lowercase with underscores. So you can see it imported without errors. And I'm actually going to import this as JFPI. And then if we do JFPI, zoom back in so you can actually see again, dot and hit tab complete, you can see that I have my functions that I wrote: join posts and topics, join posts with form title, and check column names. But the thing that I actually want to do now is check it against a style guide. So I'm going to import PyLint, which is just a linting library. And then I'm going to immediately forget the syntax for it. I think it's maybe run PyLint, and then I believe we can just give it the name. I may have to check the documentation. I usually use linter. There we go. So it's a command line command, so you have to use the bang magic to make it run as, make this line run as if it were a command line, and then PyLint, which is the name of the library, and then the name of the module, which is just this name with underscores for spaces. That's the idea. And then we can see that we have, just lots of really great errors. So we have this one, line too long, and this is line 24 is too long, line 25 is too long, line 31 has trailing white spaces, line 37 has trailing white spaces. I have an unnecessary parens after return. Oh, maybe I didn't need them. Whoops. I have wrong continued indentation, and it's wrong because I added 16 spaces, so I can change the number of spaces and go back and fix that. And you can see various other errors. Unnecessary else after return. Interesting. So will return always trigger the first time it's used, even if it's in an if statement that isn't true? My understanding that wouldn't, because I've definitely done that before. Anyway, so here are some things that I could go back and fix in my script. Oh, and you can see here, I did not use a lot of things. So I imported regular expressions, didn't use it. Imported date time, didn't use it. Imported math, didn't use it. Imported iter tools, didn't use it. So I can go back and remove all of those things that I didn't use. And I can see which ones I didn't use because I am using a linter to check. And my code has been rated on a 10-point scale, -6.67. 7. So yes, clearly needs a little bit of work to make it, you know, more robust against different changes, and work the second one where it works I still am working on. But this is an example of the beginning of the process of taking some procedural code that just runs line by line and making it more modular, breaking it apart into different pieces, adding some checks. So to go back to, was it in here? Nope. Was it in here? Nope. It is, however, in the YouTube description, so down here. So going through the steps that I'm talking about here, making the code modular, making it correct, still working on that. Working on readable, you notice that I changed a lot of my names to be more transparent so that I was less confused, and also we added some comments and some doc strings in our functions to say what our functions did. Stylish, we used a style guide to check our code and see if it adhered to it, and didn't. Some things to work on, 1 or 2 little small improvements we could make. And there are also tools that will do this automatically, so you don't have to go through and change all of those by hand. Versatile, it's a problem that I run into a lot. I want to know if I have a forum post, what forum it came from, so these are things that I have to do fairly often. So even though it is based on a specific data set, I should, you know, it's worth investing the time because this is a task that I do have to do a fair amount. And also we're working on being able to accept, to check the code, the data that's coming in, and make sure that it follows our assumptions. And then creative. So as far as I know, no one's written some handy scripts that do the exact thing that I want on Kaggle, because I checked. I did look. I was like, can somebody else do this? Has somebody else done this already? And if so, can I use that instead? And no, unfortunately. So I'm going to keep working on this. The join forum post info script is public, as you can see, and you can go check it out. And I will continue to work on it and hopefully get the CSV validation working a little bit better. And I'll tweet about it when that happens. All right, thank you for joining me today, everybody. Some other things that people are talking about, looking at questions. Frank VS Code has an autofix function in most linters. Which linter do you use? I like PyLint for Python, and then linter, L-I-N-T-R, for R, which is Jim Hester's linter and follows the tidyverse style guide. Yeah, that's just my preference. There is actually a separate, for R specifically, there is a separate style guide for Google that they recently updated. So if you're using an old version of a linter that relies on the R Google style guide, I would update it. Just an aside, just a little FYI. Frank says, usually when I run a linter, it has a heart attack just from the small things that accumulate. Yeah, it's very precise, very detail-oriented in a way that I'm not, so I appreciate having a tool that can check things for me. David says, wouldn't an IDE like PyCharm also warn you of the same things as a linter does while you're writing the code? Yep. Most development environments have a linter built into them. There are also some Jupyter-specific linters that I've not been able to get working on Kaggle because of their front-end assumptions. But yes, it is very common to have linters built into your development environment. Shuge says, suppose you were an ACL reviewer, what do you expect in supplemental code for my submission? Thinking of submitting well-described Jupyter notebooks next time. Yeah, notebooks are great. Notebooks are great. Question, will the recording be available? Yes, and it should be available immediately, and the comments will continue to, show up, but it's usually like a 1 to 2 hour processing time before they show back up. So if you're wondering who I'm talking to, it's the folks in the comments, and if they're not loaded yet, they will. All right, thank you everybody for joining today. I hope this was helpful. I talked about a lot of things that I've learned on the job. I didn't used to know what data validation was at all. I haven't worked with the CSV Validator a whole bunch. I tend to do most of my tabular data stuff in R, and the R validator that I like is something that I'm more familiar with. Let me put it that way. And that's all I have for you today. I'll be on the forums today, so if you have questions, please feel free to ask. And if you are working on a utility script and you would like to share it with the community, we have a competition going on until October 7th, which is the Monday after next. Oh, there's a lot of comments in here that I need to go through. And basically, if you write a utility script, we'll look at the top 10% or 100, whichever is bigger, of all of the utility scripts published between this Monday, last Monday, so September 23rd and October 7th. And then from the top number based on the number of imports and so people who have imported into their notebook, and forks, so people who have forked it, and upvotes based on a combination of those three things. The Kaggle team will evaluate your code based on these 6 criteria, and then up to the top 10 of those utility scripts will get a special shout out and a chance at some very rare Kaggle swag. So one example I happen to be wearing is this hoodie with the goose on it. This was only for some of the Kaggle team members, and not even all the Kaggle team members got this. This was for a specific group of folks who helped on a particular project, but we are opening the vault, the swag vault. So if you're interested in Kaggle swag, this is a nice way to maybe win some. All right, so I'll see you guys on Kaggle. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody's utility scripts, and they do have to be public. I should say that. Do make them public. And seeing what everybody comes up with. And I will say that the one that I've written in an hour probably would not make the cut. It needs a little loving. And I'll post about it when I get the CSV validation working. All right, thank you so much for joining me today, everybody. I hope this was helpful. I hope it's good to have peer advice, just like here's some stuff that I learned about that I did not know about when I was doing my PhD and would have made my life easier. And I'll see you all on Kaggle. Have a great week. Bye.